Hello friends, how are you today? I hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be a little dark world light work revelation in real time. So basically, as you may know if you have been following along, I recently self-published a book and it is entitled Dark World Light Work, and it is a memoir. That means it is a story of my life, and as my life continues, the story actually continues. Recently, I read from the very last passages, and that is about how I ended up back in the state of Nevada. I was forcibly transported by the US government, who had been stalking me for many years, from the state of California to the state of Nevada in police custody for nothing, it's not even a crime, but an incident that I didn't even have any participation in, but I was stalked for many years and still am. And in that story, I talk about how I ended up staying with my mother and her husband for a little while. And in a recent video, I discussed how she and her husband and other members of my family were really adamant about forcing me into a sort of lifestyle that they felt comfortable with, that's a lifestyle that worked for them. And they had a little bit of, and they've always done this. Throughout my entire life, they have always tried to push me into this direction. And this time around, they had a little bit of leverage because I had nothing and I was at the mercy of staying with my mother and her husband. And because I did not choose to conform, they decided that I couldn't no longer stay with them at their house. And so that's how I ended up in the Airbnbs where I am now. And that's fine. That's their prerogative. We're all grown up adults, and that's their decision. However, the most interesting thing that I learned just recently about this, or I knew it, but it all came together for me, is that everyone in my family that attempted to get me to conform to this way of thinking was worked for the US government. They're all actually cops, juvenile probation and correction officers to be exact. And so they have a very strict way of thinking and they like things done a certain way. And when I did not conform, they chose to withdraw their support and withhold resources from me, just like the actual US government, which led me into the position in the first place. And moreover, the woman who kidnapped my grandmother assumed her identity. She did all of this via paperwork. This woman also worked for the US government. Her one job that she had back in the 1980s was working for the IRS, where she learned how to file the correct paperwork. She then took all of those skills, and used it to become a welfare fraud for the last several decades. You know how I said how I used the EBT system for a little while I was homeless? Well, this woman has lived off of that system for her entire life. She actually had 7 children. All of them she raised on government subsidy, and she taught the oldest to do the same as well. So it's just really interesting that you can run into this operative energy. And when my grandmother did not conform to the way she wanted her to think, my aunt wanted my grandmother to think a certain way, she took her assets and withheld her resources from her, just like the rest of the government. So this is a mindset that these people have, and you really have to be careful because they are everywhere. And just be careful too, if you are a person who has been institutionalized, whether it be by the welfare system or the prison industrial complex, or even the foster care system or the public school system, or even your 40-hour work week job, please know that you yourself could have op tendencies. You could have this bot mind control tendency. And just in the interest of full disclosure, my mother doesn't work for the government necessarily, but she is a worker bee, a 40-hour work week lady, and she's always judged me for not conforming to that. However, she didn't even work for the same company long enough to earn herself a retirement fund. She only gets the Social Security. And I promise you this, if I had ever jacked into that world, I would have retired with the entire bag. So just know that people are going to try and invade your free thought everywhere you turn. Do not allow them to do that. And check your family, check your surroundings, check your friends group, and if you have to, check your own head. Because free thought is very important, and it is very, very important that we all keep our minds free and clear. No means no. Think for yourselves. That has been a Dark World Light Work, whatever it is. I never know how to end these things. Love you.